Anyone who knows me knows that I love my locks. Like, I love my locks. I love being a locked up shawty, okay? But I feel like we don't talk about the ugly side of having locks. So today, that's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you 10 ugly truths about having locks so that if you're thinking about starting your own lock journey, this is just something to keep in mind. Hi guys, my name is Ray. If you're new here to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this video. I greatly appreciate it. Let's get into it. Locks can be very time consuming to maintain. If you're like me and you like to try to save a little money, so you do your lock retwist at home, I retwist my locks once a month. Now, when I retwist my locks, I literally will set a day aside where I have absolutely nothing to do to wash and style my locks. It's very time consuming. When I first started washing and retwisting my own locks, I would say the process would take me about 2 to 3 hours because my hair is thick and I have 93 locks. So sitting down and retwisting and clipping all of that, then waiting 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours for it to dry is very time consuming. So if you are thinking about doing your own retwist at home, especially if you don't have a dryer that you can sit under, locks can be very time consuming to maintain. Locks can also be kind of expensive to maintain, especially when you're first starting out with your locks. It's best to go to a loctician at least once a month and have them style, wash, retwist your hair for you as your locks are just starting to mature. The start of your journey, you definitely want to be in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing. So with that being said, going to a loctician once a month, you're spending at least, at minimum, $100 or more. The average retwist is about $120, and that's just washing and retwisting. We're not talking about if you want some kind of intricate style, then you're gonna be $130, $140, $160 sometimes, just depending on what city you're in and your loctician. So they can be costly to maintain, especially when you're starting out and you don't really know what you're doing enough to maintain them at home. It can get kind of expensive. Plus you need to invest in natural oils and different kinds of shampoos to put in your hair to make sure that you have the right products that aren't going to cause a lot of buildup. So the initial investment, it can be expensive. And when you're starting your locks, the start cost for locks can be $200 or more. So that's just something you really want to keep in mind. If you are maintaining your locks at home, meaning washing and retwisting them yourself, locks take a long time to dry, okay? Especially if you have thick hair like me and your lock is a little bit more dense, they take some time to dry. If you don't have a dryer at home that you can sit under, you have to carve out maybe 4 to 5 hours, sometimes more. Well, a lot of times more, for your hair to air dry. And you absolutely do not want to sleep on damp or wet locks, because I'm telling you now that just like anything else that's wet and being closed up, like you wrap your hair up while it's wet, it can become a little musty, you know, and you want to avoid that at all costs. So whenever you are doing your hair at home, make sure that you take that time out. Start early in the day, maybe get up in the morning and wash your hair in the shower so that you have pretty much the whole day for your locks to air dry. So if you're like me, not a hairstylist, styling your locks in between retwists when they start to get a little grown out, a little frizzy, can be challenging sometimes. Yes, locks are a blessing because you can just get up, take your scarf off, and just fluff them out and go. But when they start to get grown out at the roots and start to frizz in between styling periods, you have to be willing to take a little bit extra time If you're going for a more neat and put together look like I try to maintain that for myself, then you want to invest in some good edge control, a nice moisturizing spray that doesn't cause a lot of buildup in your hair. Spray your hair, lay your edges down, tie it down just to give it a sleeker look in between your retwist periods. So sometimes you just have to be a little creative with some slick back ponytails, maybe a headband or a headscarf. You have to just play with it. But if you are going for a more rustic look, then you don't have to worry about that. Locks can cause your scalp to become very itchy and dry, and which leads to dandruff. When I first started out with my locks, the first 6 months, I really struggled with dandruff, and my hair would be itchy all the time. I believe it's because you don't get, if your hair is thick like mine, your scalp underneath these locks, they don't get a lot of oxygen. And if you're not being consistent with moisturizing your scalp and spraying your locks on a daily or every other day basis, and it's easy to forget to do that. It really is. So if you're not doing that on a consistent basis, you will start to see dandruff flakes standing up on top of your locks in different places, and you will be scratching your head or petting it like you have a weave. So you have to take time out to make sure that you're moisturizing your locks. Having locks can be tough on your scalp, and it can be murder to your edges. As your hair grows longer and longer, your locks do get heavy. So if you are constantly wearing styles where your hair is pulled back or has a lot of tightness, like if it's braided up into a style or something like that, it can cause a lot of tension on your edges and on your scalp. Some people do get their locks retwisted once every 2 weeks, or one person told me they retwist their locks once a week. More power to them. I suggest once a month, because the tension that it's causing on your scalp can be very damaging to your hair, which can lead to bald spots or you just basically having your edges snatched, and you don't nobody wants that. Washing your locks can definitely be challenging. When I first started washing my own locks at home, one of the things that I kept finding was that I was not spending enough time really cleansing my locks. Like now I have to go through my locks almost one by one and kind of make sure that I'm going through them, because your locks are dense, so they will hold product. So if you're using a conditioner or any kind of like creamy kind of shampoo or conditioner product in your hair when you're washing them, your locks will grab hold of that. And you really have to go in there and scrub to get that out. If you don't, it will cause buildup in your locks, which will lead to your scalp being itchy, and your locks will start to look dull and kind of crusty, and that's not cute. So make sure when you are washing your locks, especially if you're in the shower, you have to go through the rows of locks. Make sure you're getting your scalp underneath in the back. That was something that I was neglecting to do. Like, you really have to be very thorough when you're washing your locks, which goes back to the first point of why they are time consuming to maintain. If you have locks and you're considering coloring them, dyeing them, rinsing them, whatever it is that you want to do to change your color, I suggest going to a professional, because locks can be very tough to color. Because your lock is dense, that color does not really penetrate your lock the way that your hair would normally do if it wasn't locked. So you'll have like spotty color patches in different areas, and it won't give you a clean, fresh dyed look. So it's best to go to a loctician that actually specializes in coloring locks if that's something that you want to do. Please don't try to do it at home unless you are very experienced or you're just up for an experiment, because it can go real left real quick. Locks get in the way. They really do, especially as your locks start to get longer and longer. I'm finding more and more, I have a tendency to dip my locks in food and drinks quite often, and you don't even realize it. I could be at a party or out at a restaurant or a bar and lean over something, just a slight lean, or just talking to someone in movement, and I have a cup in my hand, and then all of a sudden I'll look down and my shirt is wet. And it'll be because I just dip my locks in my drink. You don't know how many times I've walked around with like the smell of whiskey or something like that in the bottom of my locks because I accidentally dipped it in my drink. Or a couple of times I've accidentally eaten my lock, not eaten, but chewing, putting something in my mouth to eat, and you'll catch a lock in your mouth at the same time. It happens all the time. Not only that, they tend to get stuck on zippers, get stuck in your sleeve when you're putting hoodies on. Like, you have to just take your time. Trying to rush and get dressed to go anywhere is a challenge when my hair is down because my locks get caught up in pretty much anything and everything. So you just have to take a little bit more care, because when you get your lock caught on something and it snatches back, it's very painful. So they definitely get in the way. Lastly, locks are a commitment. They really, really are. When you decide to get locks and you're going through the lock process and they start to mature, meaning to actually form a true lock, it becomes harder to change your mind and decide you don't want locks. Yes, you can comb out locks if you change your mind and say, I don't want to have locks anymore, but it is very time consuming. One person told me that when they combed out their locks, it literally took them 2 weeks to comb out their locks. You will lose a lot of hair because our hair does shed naturally, and when your hair is locked, all that dead hair is wrapped up in your lock. Instead of shedding out naturally, it's locked in your lock. So if you do decide to comb out your locks, you will see clumps and clumps and clumps of hair come out, and 9 times out of 10, however long your locks are, you will not be able to retain that length because your hair has not been maintained outside of having locks. Having locks is a commitment, and if you decide to change your mind, yes, you can comb them out, but most people do just cut them off, because to comb out a lock, it's a lot. So making this decision is big. It's a commitment, and you have to be, it's best to be prepared for it. When I decided to finally get locks, it was at least a year of me contemplating and praying on it before I went full force and locked my hair. So here I am sitting before you 3.5 years into being a locked up shawty, and I'm loving. So those are my top 10 ugly truths about having locks. Having locks has been a beautiful journey for me. I absolutely love it. I probably will not change my hair anytime soon. I look forward to what my hair does over the next couple of years. Do your research. Make sure that you are prepared for this huge commitment of being a locked up shawty, and you will love it. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we talked about in this video, please comment below. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.